Okay, yesterday we worked on the front half of this Form 1040, and we finished up with our taxable income. We ended up with on line 11B, $41,964 for the McDonald clan. And now we're going to start on the back page of the 1040, which is where you have all of your deductions and how much tax you're actually going to owe. So we look here at 12A, the tax, it says, see the instructions. So we're going to go back to our instruction booklet. We'll look at the instructions for line 12A. Okay. On line 12A, all the following taxes that apply: tax on your taxable income, and it says figure the tax using one of the methods described later. Tax from Form 8814, Form 4972, tax due to making a Section 962, recapture of an education credit, any tax from Form 8621, repayment of any excess advance payment on health coverage tax, tax from Form 8978, net tax liability deferred under Sections 965I. You can have the IRS figure the tax for you, but I think it's always better that you do it rather than trust them. So if we say no, we don't want them, then we're going to use the tax table. Now, luckily for the McDonald family, they didn't have any of that other stuff except for taxable income. So we're going to be able to use the tax table here to figure out the taxable income. Now, remember, when we look back on the Form 1040 on line 11B, that the taxable income was $41,964. Now, to figure out how much tax we owe on that, we are going to go all the way down to the tax worksheet and the tax tables, and I'll show you how those work. Unfortunately, the tax tables are pretty much at the back of the book here, so we're going to have to scroll down for quite a while. Like I said, this is about 300 pages. So don't get confused. This is the earned income credit table. It looks a lot like the tax table, but it's not. It's earned income credit, and we'll get to what that is here in a bit. So scroll past the earned income credit table, and here we are at the 2019 tax table. And you can see how it's set up here. It says if a line 11B taxable income is at least, and you see the first one is 0, but less than 5, and then it asks you how you're filing, and remember the McDonald's are filing jointly, then your tax is 0 in this case. So we said, and I have to go back and look, it was 49,000, I believe, 41,964. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these tables here and look for 41,000. And here we go, 41,000, and then we're going to look between 41,950 and 42,000. That's where 41,964 lies. And we find out that if we're married filing jointly, the McDonald's are, and so married filing jointly is the second one to the right. So we look here, 1, 2, their tax is $4,649. That's how much they owe. That's how much we are going to enter on line 12A. And I've already forgotten what it was. So let me go back here, 4,649. So 4,649 is what we're going to enter there. Now, notice the next line, add Schedule 2, line 3, and line 12A, and enter the total for 12B. Let's go to the IRS website and see if we can see what Schedule 2 is and whether or not we have to do Schedule 2. Let me reduce this a little bit because I can't read the tabs very well. So remember, the IRS website is just www.irs.gov. And we're going to go down. Let's move this over a bit. Just is not cooperating with me today. I'm going to move this instead. Now I can get over here. Okay. And we'll search for Schedule 2. And here's Schedule 2, tax. We'll click on it. Should bring up a PDF, additional taxes, the alternative minimum tax, excess advance premium tax credit payment, other taxes. Boy, I don't know if we have to do any of this. So where could I find out? Again, I can go back to the instructions and look for the instructions on line 12A to see if I have to do any of this. So go back up, line 12A. Don't use the tax table or tax computation worksheet to figure your tax if any of the following applies. If you have to use Form 8615 on tax on their unearned income. Well, we know we didn't have any unearned income. Let's see, Schedule D tax worksheet, qualified dividends and capital gains. We didn't have any of that. Foreign earned income. We didn't have any of that. Excuse me. Excuse me. So I don't see any reason that we need to do Schedule 2, to be honest. So going back to Schedule 2, if I can, self-employment, no unreported Social Security or Medicare, no additional tax on IRAs. So it doesn't look like we have to do any of this right here. So Schedule 2 is a bust. We don't have to do any of it. So I'm just going to close that out. And then we'll go back to our Form 1040. And on line 12B, it says add Schedule 2, line 3, and line 12A and enter the total. Since we didn't have to do Schedule 2, we'll just add line 12A, and that comes out to $4,649 again. All right, 13A, child tax credit or credit for other dependents. Again, if we go back to the instructions and we look at the instructions for line 13A, Form 8862, you must file to claim the child tax credit or credit for other dependents if your child tax credit or additional child tax credit for a year after 2015 was denied or reduced. So I didn't see any information regarding that in the McDonald's folder. And so I don't think I'm going to have to fill out a Form 8862. If you take the child tax credit or credit for other dependents, even though you aren't eligible, and it is determined that your error is due to reckless or intentional disregard of the rules for the credit, you won't be allowed to take it for a few years. Well, good news. I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. So that seems a little bit vague information. So let's go down here, and what do you know? They have a worksheet in the instructions for us to determine. So let's read through these instructions and try to complete this worksheet. To be a qualifying child for the child tax credit, the child must be your dependent under age 17 at the end of 2019. Now, if I go back to my Form 1040 and I look up here, they ask the same thing of my dependents. And we got Jackson, he qualifies, Leonard qualifies, Cheryl qualifies. They were all under 17 in 2019, so they all qualified for that child tax credit. So we can check that one off our list. We don't have to worry about number 2. It says if you don't have a qualifying child. Number 3, to see if your qualifying relative qualifies you. So that's someone other than a child. Do not use the worksheet, but use publication 972 instead if you are claiming the adoption credit, mortgage interest credit, DC first-time home buyer credit, or residential energy efficient property credit. We're not doing any of that. B, you're excluding income from Puerto Rico, or C, you're filing Form 255, 4563. We're not doing any of that. So let's start on part 1 here. The number of qualifying children under age 17 is 3 times 2,000. And so if we enter the results on line 1, and what I normally do, since this isn't a fillable PDF, is I get out a piece of paper and I write down each part. So for line 1, it's 3 times 2,000. So for line 1, we're going to put 6,000. Okay, line 2, number of other dependents, including qualified children without the required Social Security number. Well, number 2 is 0. We don't have to worry about that. All right, number 3, add lines 1 and 2, pretty easy. 6,000 and 0 is 6,000. So line 3 is 6,000. Line 4, enter the amount from Form 1040, line 8B. So let's go back to our Form 1040, find line 8B, and we have $66,364. So for line 4 on the worksheet, $66,364 is what we're going to enter. Okay, line 5, enter the amount shown below for your filing status. Well, the McDonald's are married to filing jointly, so for line 5, we're going to enter $400,000. Line 6 is the amount on line 4 more than the amount on line 5. And the answer is no. So if no, leave line 6 blank, enter 0 on line 7, and go to line 8. So we'll go down to line 8. Is the amount on line 3, which we had $6,000, more than the amount on line 7, where we had 0? Yes. So now it says if yes, subtract line 7 from line 3. That's pretty easy again. For line 8, 6,000 minus 0 is 6,000. So we're going to subtract 6,000 there. And then go on to part 2. Okay, enter the amount from Form 1040, line 12B. So we'll go back to our Form 1040. And we go to line 12B, and it's 4,649 is what we're going to enter on line 9 for the worksheet. Okay, add in the amounts from Schedule 3. We didn't have any. We don't have any of these things. So line 10 is going to be a 0. And then line 11, are the amounts on lines 9 and 10 the same? Well, 4,649 is not the same as 0, so no. So subtract line 10 from line 9. And so for line 11, again, pretty easy. 4,649 minus 0 is 4,649. That's what we're going to enter on line 11. Is the amount on line 8 more than the amount on line 11? Yes, 6,000 is more than 4,649. So it says yes, enter the amount from line 11 on line 12. So the amount from line 11 on line 12, that's going to be the $4,649. So this is our child tax credit and credit for other dependents. And if you look at number 12 there right beneath it, enter this amount on Form 1040, line 13A. So that's what we're going to enter there, $4,649. Now line 13B says add Schedule 3, line 7. Well, we didn't really look and see what Schedule 3 was, whether or not we have to do that. So let's go back to the IRS website and look at the Schedule 3 and see if that's something we have to do. So Schedule 3 is additional credits and payments, like non-refundable credits such as foreign tax credit, credit for child and dependent care expenses, education credits, retirement saving credits, residential energy credits, tax payment credits, amount paid with request for extension to file, credit for federal tax on fuels. We don't have any of this. So good news, we don't have to do anything with Schedule 3. So if I go back over here, 13B, nothing from there. So 13B is going to be 0. And then on line 14, it says subtract line 13B from line 12B. Again, easy math. 4,649 minus 0 is 4,649 on line 14. Then on line 15, other taxes, including self-employment tax from Schedule 2, line 10. Well, we already looked at Schedule 2 and figured, okay, we'd have nothing there. So pretty easy, we don't have anything to enter on line 15. So that's going to be a 0. Line 16, add lines 14 and 15. This is your total tax. So on line 16, 4,649 plus 0, 4,649. That's our tax on our income. But that's not the end of it, because there are other credits we can take from this point now that we've calculated our tax that will reduce our taxes. And as we go through, you'll see there may even be the possibility that we're getting money back in a tax refund because of these reductions. So line 17 says federal income tax withheld from forms W-2 and 1099. So these are the taxes that we've already submitted to the federal government through our employers or our financial institutions. So let's go back into the Campbell's file and look here and see on the W-2s and the 1099s what we have here. So we'll start with the W-2 from Philip, and we'll see in the bottom and on the top right corner there, box number 2, it says federal income tax withheld was $5,906.20. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the calculator on my phone to keep track of this. $5,906.20. Okay, now I look at Mary's W-2, and she had $282.43 withheld. So that comes to $6,188.63 thus far. Now on any 1099s, see, this is a 1098, 1098, 1098, and here's a 1099. But notice that on box 4, right in the middle there, federal income tax withheld is 0. So no income tax was withheld from the interest I earned in my bank account. And so my total taxes withheld only come from my W-2s. And we added those up and it came out to $6,188.63. But remember, we round, so that's going to be $6,189 that we enter there. Line 18A. Earned income credit. Now you notice line 18 above that, other payments and refundable credits. Well, that's all going to be totaled after we complete all these other things here. So line 18A, earned income credit. Now you notice there's a dialog box to the left of that. It says if you have a qualifying child, attach Schedule EIC. If you have non-taxable combat pay, see instructions. Well, we already know Philip and Mary and their children aren't in the military, so we don't have to worry about that. But they do have qualifying children, I'm pretty sure. Let's make sure by looking at the instructions for line 18A. 18A, earned income credit. What is the EIC? The EIC is a credit for certain people who work, and the credit may give you a refund even if you don't owe any tax or didn't have any tax withheld. So if you make the election to use your 2018 earned income to figure your EIC, enter PYEI in the amount of your 2018 earned income. We're not going to worry about any of that. All right, so to take the EIC, we're going to follow these steps below and complete this worksheet to let the IRS figure, or yeah, we'll complete it and send it to them, but I'm not too worried about that. We can figure this out ourselves. So if in 2019, 3 or more children lived with you, is the amount on Form 1040 line 8B less than $50,162? Well, let's go back and look at form on line 8B here and see if that's the case. Line 8B was 66,364, and this is less than 50,162 or 55,952 if married filing jointly. So in this case, we're going to answer no because we made 66,000, and look right there. No, stop. You can't take the credit. So they don't qualify for their earned income credit, so they're not going to be able to take that. Good news for you, I guess, because that's one less thing you actually have to do the math and fill in. But just for the sake of showing you how this would happen, let's say you are eligible to take the earned income credit, and then you follow through with all of the worksheet here regarding it. You find out, okay, I do qualify. Well, then right beneath that is going to tell you, here's the worksheet to figure it out, what your earned income credit is going to be. And then if we go down after the worksheets, here's the table so that we could look and see at what, and you'll notice it's going to end at about 55,000. It won't go all the way, so it's not as long as the tax tables here. So if we get down to about the middle of this page, you'll see it gets up to about 51,400. Then you're good. So we don't qualify for that this time, so we don't get the earned income credit. But the earned income credit is for families who make less when they're filing jointly than that $55,000, and then the government would take that earned income credit off your taxes, refund you the excess if there's any, which in most cases there are, even if you did not have any federal income tax withheld, or you did not pay any taxes. Even if you didn't even have any income, you might still qualify for the earned income credit, where the government is going to send you money to help you with child expenses, basically the price of living with children. So even people without jobs can qualify for a tax return because of the earned income credit. So we didn't qualify for the earned income credit. So let's look at line 18B, the additional child tax credit. And it's asking us to attach Schedule 8812. So let's look at the instructions and see if there's a possibility we might qualify for the additional child tax credit since we didn't qualify for the earned income credit. So we're going to get past the earned income tables here and get to the instructions for line 18B. Maybe you'll be able to use your 2018 earned income to figure your additional child tax credit. We're not going to worry about that. Let's see. What is the additional child tax credit down here? This credit is for certain people who have at least one qualifying child for the child tax credit, which we already said we did. We have 3. The additional child tax credit may give you a refund even if you don't owe any tax or didn't have any tax withheld. Well, that's good news. It's a lot like the earned income credit then. So 2 steps to take the additional child tax credit. Be sure that you figured the amount, if any, of your child tax credit and credit for other dependents. So good, we did that. Read the tip at the end of your child tax credit and credit for other dependents worksheet, and then use Schedule 8812 to see if you can take the additional child tax credit, but only if you meet the condition given in that tip. So let's go back and look at that tip and see what that was. So that's going to require us to go up a little bit here. That's the earned income credit worksheet. So still a little bit, here we go. So this was the, no, that's still earned income, I believe. Yeah, that's still earned income. So here was the child tax credit worksheet and the tip at the end. If your child tax credit or additional child tax credit for a year after 2015 was reduced, or no, that's the caution. The tip, you may be able to take the additional child tax credit on Form 1040 line 18B if you answered yes on line 11 or line 12 above. So if I go back to line 11, it says yes, stop. Well, that wasn't us. Line 12 was yes, enter the amount from line 11. That was us. We did enter the amount from line 11 there. So we should be able to take the additional child tax credit if line 1 is more than 0, and line 1, if you recall, was $6,000. So good. We should be able to take the additional child tax credit on 18B, and now we just need to calculate and figure out how much that additional child tax credit is. So let's go back to the instructions for line 18B here. All right, so we read the tip, Form 8862. You must file Form 8862 if your child tax credit or additional child tax credit for a year after was denied or reduced. Well, we don't have any evidence any of that happened, so we'll say that wasn't the case. So let's go look here at the Form 1040 and see what's required. 18B, additional child tax credit attached Schedule 8812. So we're going to have to fill out a Form 88, a Schedule 8812. So let's go back to the IRS website. And we're going to search for Schedule 8812. Pull that up. Okay, so here's the 8812. Name or names shown on return. We've got Philip J. McDonald, Mary D. McDonald, since it's a joint return. All right, if you're required to use the worksheet in publication 972, enter the amount from line 10 of the child tax credit and credit for other dependents worksheet in the publication. Otherwise, 1040, we've already figured out we don't need that publication 972 for the child tax credit, because we were able to calculate that just on the worksheet. So 1040, enter the amount from line 8 of your child tax credit and credit for other dependents. So let's go look at the amount on line 8 here. Line 8 was, I don't know if this is what I'm looking at, actually. Let's go back and look at that again. Come on, go away. 1040, into the amount of line 8 of your child tax credit and credit for other dependents worksheet. That's what they want us to look at. So we look back at our paper where we wrote that, and line 8 was $6,000. So we're going to put $6,000 here. All right, line 2. enter the amount from Form 1040, line 13A. So if we go back to our 1040, we look at line 13A, and that was $4,649. So we're going to go over here and enter the $4,649. Subtract line 2 from line 1. So 6,000 minus 4,649. That's going to give us 1,351. All right, number of qualifying children under 17. We had 3. 3 times 1,400 is 3,000 and 1,200, 4,200. So enter the result here. If 0, stop here. You can't claim the credit. So what do we get? 4,200. 3 times 1,400. Yes. All right, so enter the smaller of line 3 or line 4 on line 5. Well, the smaller between those two is the 1,351. Earned income for 6A. We're going to have to see the instructions here for Schedule 8812. So about what they mean for earned income. So let's go back to the IRS website. Instructions for Schedule 8812. Skip all this. Let's get to the specific instructions. Earned income chart. If you have net earnings from self-employment, if you're taking the EIC, or if you're not taking the EIC and are not self-employed or filing Schedule S, E, or C for the above reasons, your earned income figures as follows. Line 1 of Form 1040 or line 8 of Form 1040 NR. We're not doing the NR, we're just doing that. So line 1 of Form 1040, and all the other things. So add all my non-taxable. So really all we're looking at, according to this worksheet, our earned income is what's going to be on line 1 of the Form 1040. So if we go back up here and we look at line 1, that's $68,582. So if I go back to Schedule 8812, then my earned income is what was on line 1 there, 68582. So that's what we're going to enter there. 68582. Okay, no non-taxable combat pay. Is the amount on line 6A more than $2,500? Yes. So subtract 2,500 from the amount on line 6A. So 68,582 minus 2,500 is going to give us 66,082. Well, that doesn't make sense. 68,582 minus the 2,500. I guess I did do that right. 66,082 on line 7. Okay, multiply the amount on line 7 by 15%. So we're going to take that 66,082, multiply it by 0.15, and that's going to give us 9,912.30. And that's what we're going to enter on line 8. 9,912. We're rounding. All right, next on line 4 is the amount $4,200 or more. Yes. If line 8 is equal to or more than line 5, which it is, skip part 2 and enter the amount from line 5 on line 15. So we're going to go down to line 15, which is the end of this. Our additional child tax credit is $9,912. And then we're going to enter this amount on Form 1040, line 18B. So go down here, line 18B. And would you believe I've forgotten what the heck it is already? So I have to go back to the schedule and look. Come on, disappear. 9,912. So 18B, 9,912. Okay, that's where I'm going to stop for today. Tomorrow we'll finish up The return shouldn't take us very long, actually. So hopefully, I know the two of you weren't here yesterday, might feel a little bit lost, but you can watch the video once I get it posted up there of what we did yesterday on the front, which was really a lot of demographic stuff and just filling in information from their W-2s and things. So you really didn't miss that much. And then tomorrow we'll finish up, and hopefully you'll get a good feel for how to do your taxes. Although, like I said, doing taxes is a very individual thing, so it's not something I can teach you. Here's exactly how you do your taxes, particularly when tax laws are thick. They would fill books that would fill every room in the high school from floor to ceiling, wall to wall, including the gymnasiums. And people who are experts in this spend, a lot of time in the classroom outside of tax season learning new laws and things that go into this. So this is by no means something very easy to teach a high school student. The only thing I can really do is kind of show you how to figure it out, more so than, okay, here's how you do your taxes every year. So hopefully this helps you a little bit as you get through it. Again, if we were in class, this would have been something you guys would have been doing on your own, and I would have just been available to help you answer questions, but you would have got the experience. This is the best I can do as far as the experience. It's just doing it with you as we go along. So hopefully you guys have a good day. It's a beautiful day, still some sunlight left. So go out and enjoy it, and we'll talk to you guys later. But did you guys have any questions?
No.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys later then.
All right. Have a nice night, Mr. Klein.
You too.